vanishing. The accumulate hit like he'd been struck in the chest, in his heart. Adrian felt it before his phone buzzed, before anyone in the cafe gasped, before Marinette's breath caught and she whispered not tonight like she could bargain with the city. It was in the air, how it shifted, how the warmth in the room suddenly felt thin at the edges, like a blanket with holes you didn't notice until the cold found them. He had been leaning forward. His thumb had just brushed the corner of her mouth, wiping away foam he didn't even remember deciding to remove. Her eyes were on his. 10 seconds from forgetting everything. 10 seconds from letting himself be a boy with a girl he liked in a warm cafe with snow on the other side of the window. Then the pressure arrived. Reminiscence. Adrian's mind snapped into the shape it took when the world demanded something from him. He stood too quickly, chair scraping, heat leaving his hand as he pulled her back. "I'm sorry," he said, because it was the only thing he could say that wasn't a lie and wasn't the truth. Marinette blinked up at him, startled, confusion already rising. "For what?" she asked. "Because I'm about to break this moment. Because you'll think it's you. Because you'll stand there holding roses in the snow and you won't know why I left." I have to go," Adrian said instead. The words tasted like metal. He met her eyes for one beat, long enough to make sure she was real, long enough to watch her register the fracture. Guilt flared hard enough to sting. "I'm sorry," he repeated, because it still wasn't enough. Then he turned and ran. Out into the cold. He didn't look back. He couldn't afford to. Outside, the riverbank was already shifting wrong. Not visibly, yet, but Adrian felt it in his bones, the subtle slide of distance, the way straight lines started to question themselves. People spilled onto the street, phones in hands, voices raising. Adrian ducked behind a stone column near the bridge, heart hammering once. Hard, contained. Composure wasn't a feeling, it was a decision. "Plag," he murmured. "Claws out." Light unwound around him, sharp and clean. The suit formed, the mass settled, the world narrowed into focus and responsibility. Plag sealed into the ring, leaving Cat Noir alone with the weight he carried. Cat Noir launched upwards, staff extending as he landed on the first rooftop with practiced ease. The city felt wrong under his feet, not unstable like an earthquake, unstable like a memory. Paris was beginning to forget itself. He ran along the rooftops, scanning for the shimmer. Reminiscence energy rippled through the air like heat distortion made of thought. It curled around corners, slid across windows, and tugged at the edges of sound. Cat Noir spotted the crowd by the riverbank, and, because his eyes were trained to find Marinette even when he tried not to, he saw her, on the bench. Snow falling heavier now, and on the ground, half buried in fresh white, pink, roses. The sight hit him harder than it should have, a symbol of a moment he had ripped in half. Cat Noir's stride faltered for half a second. Half a second was expensive. A distortion wave slammed outwards and nearby rooftops' edge rippled like fabric. Cat Noir planted his staff and rode the shift, muscles tensing as gravity hesitated. He swallowed the panic that tried to rise, not for himself, for the part of him that had almost kissed her, for the part of him that wanted to go back down and pick up the roses and fix what had broken. He couldn't. Reminiscence surged into view, a civilian host stumbling in the street, eyes glassy, face wet with tears. The grief was real. That was the cruelest part. Someone's genuine loss weaponized into repeated pattern. Cat Noir dropped into the street in a controlled arch, landing between the host and the civilians. "Hey!" he called, voice steady. "You don't want to do this." The host laughed, broken. "I just wanted yesterday. I just wanted to stop slipping." The distortion tightened. Cat Noir felt the pull hook into his skull, fingertips tracing cracks. He gritted his teeth and anchored himself with breath and training. He remembered everything, and that made him a target. And tonight, reminiscence felt stronger. The shimmer crawled up the buildings, warping windows into liquid mirrors. A lamppost bent sideways and snapped back. People screamed as a sense of distance betrayed them. 2 steps turning into 6. A curb suddenly too high. The ground shifting underneath feet that hadn't moved. Cat Noir struck with his staff, aiming to disarm without escalating the host's panic. He moved with measured precision, controlled, deliberate, refusing to let the chaos inside him leak into his limbs. A wave hit harder. For a heartbeat, Cat Noir's vision flashed with something that wasn't his. A hand in his. Pink roses. Steam rising between them. Marinette's laugh. Then it tore away like paper, leaving a raw edge behind his eyes. Cat Noir hissed, staggering. "No! Not that! Not that memory!" He dug his staff into the ground and forced air into his lungs. If reminiscence could do that, if it could claw at his memories instead of just bending civilians, then the pattern had evolved again. Someone was reading it, turning, tuning it, sharpening it. Lady Luck arrived in a flash of red, landing with the same surgical precision Cat Noir had come to dread. "Containment," she said, already moving. Cat Noir didn't waste breath arguing. He fought beside her, staff striking, feet steady despite the warped space. Lady Luck's yo-yo snapped out, lines catching the host's wrist. Perfect angle, perfect force. The distortion bucked, warping the line. Lady Luck adjusted instantly, calculation flawless. Cat Noir caught a glimpse of the riverbank. Marinette still there. Snow collecting on her hair, roses lost at her feet. His chest tightened. He could feel her confusion like a pressure. He could also feel the way reminiscence power narrowed when its gaze slid towards her, like the distortion wanted her most. Cat Noir pushed harder, forcing the fight away from the bench, away from her. The host cried out, grief turning to rage. "I can't stand waking up and forgetting." The words speared through Cat Noir's ribs because they were too close to Marinette's truth. Lady Luck yanked the accumulator free. Purification light flared. The distortion collapsed inwards like a lung exhaling. Paris snapped back into alignment, leaving civilians dizzy and crying and confused. Cat Noir didn't wait. He turned and ran, straight to Marinette. He landed lightly in front of her, staff still extended, eyes scanning her face. "You're not hurt?" he asked quickly. Marinette shook her head. "No." Her voice was too small. His gaze flickered down. Pink roses, half buried in snow. His stomach twisted. He crouched slightly and offered his hand. "Come on." She took it. Her fingers were cold, and he hated that he knew it. He lifted her with practiced ease, taking them to the rooftops where the air was clearer and the city seams were less eager to tear open. On her rooftop, wind cut sharp across his mask, snow swirling around them in soft currents. Marinette wrapped her arms around herself. "I was on a date," she whispered. Cat Noir's chest tightened. He kept his voice steady. "Yeah." "He left," she said quietly. Cat Noir swallowed. The words threatened to turn into a confession. "I left." Instead, he said, "I'm sorry." Marinette looked at him, eyes searching, and he felt the weight of her not knowing, of her being asked to hold two feelings for two boys who were one boy split in half. "You're always here," she said softly. Cat Noir's throat tightened. He had to look away for a fraction of a second to keep composure from cracking. The distortion flared faintly again in the distance. Aftershocks. "I have to go," he said, because duty still demanded motion even when his heart wanted to stay. Marinette stepped closer. "Don't disappear without saying goodbye," she whispered. Cat Noir froze. He could have promised with words. Words were safe, but tonight, words felt thin. He took her hand gently, lifted it, pressed a soft kiss to her knuckles. It was a line he should not have crossed. He crossed it anyway, because he wanted her to have one constant that didn't vanish the moment danger arrived. "Princess," he murmured. The words were both comfort and sin. He released her slowly, forcing himself to step back. "Stay inside," he said softly. Then he leapt away into the snow-dimmed night, leaving the rooftop behind like a wound he couldn't touch. As he ran across the rooftops, Cat Noir glanced once towards the riverbank. The roses were still there, pink against snow, proof of a moment he had shattered, and proof that he could do it again, because saving her, saving the city, always came first, even when it meant leaving her behind. Thank you for listening to part 7. It's starting to build. Only 3 more parts left now. I hope you're enjoying it. Make sure you smash that like button if you are. Comment down below what you think is going to happen next in the final 3 chapters. And yeah, I hope you're good, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.